Alright, guys, so this is going to be a cartoon adaptation of a DC story that most of you guys might not know. It's not really remembered all that well from DC Comics. And I don't understand why, because it's a fun story. Maybe I'll do a review of it sometime, because I recently got the comic, and maybe I'll do a review of it sometime. But basically, we're going to be doing a cartoon adaptation of Salvation Run. What is Salvation Run? It is basically a story where it's Lord of the Flies, but it's all the DC villains. Essentially what the story is that a vast majority of DC villains were rounded up by Cadmus and other government officials and shot off to a distant world and left there to rot on some alien world. However, what happened was the villains devolved into two tribes. One led by Lex Luthor, who wants to find a way back to Earth, and the other led by Joker, who is more or less like, yeah, there's no rules, we can do whatever. And it led to, like I said, a Lord of the Flies situation where all the villains were warring it out. It was like Forever Evil before Forever Evil. You know what I'm saying? It's very much like a Forever Evil before Forever Evil. So I thought this would always be a cool cartoon adaptation for this. So let's get started with this idea. So the idea in question is that the Global Justice Network is rounding up excuse me is rounding up a shit ton of villains. It is more or less rounding up every villain they can find and taking them to some unknown facility. They're all like, every villain on the planet is being hunted down and thrown into some unknown location where no other villain knows where they're going. And what happens is that among these villains that are captured is Mojo Jojo, who's among like the Townsville villains, where he gets captured by GJN and then taken to a facility where he's teleported to another world, where he discovers that it's not just him that was thrown to this far-off, distant world. He was sent to this planet alongside a shit ton of other villains that are there. Like, there are just tons and tons of various villains who are just kind of being kept there for... they're being kept there. There's no bars, there's no guards, there's no surveillance. It's just, you're teleported there and you're not coming back. Like, you're not finding a way back to Earth. There's no way. It's a very primitive world. It has, like, food they can harvest, and there's also, like, animals that they can feed on. But really, there's there's no way getting back. Like, there's no way any of the villains are going to find a way back in any way, shape, or form. And that's the finality. This is a prison of its own making. Like, this is basically a prison without anything. All it needs is that you can go wherever you want, but you can't go home. So, as you can imagine, this doesn't fly very well with a lot of the inhabitants on Earth. Like, this doesn't really a lot of the inhabitants of this prison planet. This does not bode well for any of them. So what happens is Black Hat steps up and goes, "Hey, I'm going to find a way to get off this rock, and together we're going to go back to Earth as a united force, and we will crush the Global Justice Network and every other single fucking superhero that stands in our way. Will you help me?" And a lot of the villains are like, yeah, let's go. Let's put our heads together and figure out a way, because a lot of us are really intelligent, so obviously we can find a way back. We could obviously build like something out of raw material and find a way back to Earth. And in theory, that's a good idea. Obviously, a lot of these brilliant brains are behind it, and Black Hat's machinations and dark magic and dark abilities could lead them back to Earth. There's a problem, though. because someone decided to throw a monkey wrench into this whole thing. Someone decided that it would be a great time to pull out their ideology. And what was that ideology? It was the ideology of despair. Junko Enoshima got thrown on this fucking planet too. And Junko's whole thing is, yeah, that's all cool, but think about it this way. We don't have to worry about the villains we don't have to worry about superheroes anymore. We don't have to worry about, being thrown in prison or being, hunted and persecuted. We don't have to worry about any of that anymore. We don't have to worry about any kind of shit like that anymore. We can be we're free. We're finally free to do as we please. We can do whatever we want. We're free. We are 100% now finally free to do as we please. Why would we want to go back to what? Why would we want to go back to a world that literally wants nothing to do with us, when we can just come back here and hey, maybe we could find a way off this rock. Maybe there is a way to get off this rock, and we'll probably find a way to do that. But why go back to Earth when we could go to another planet and spread the joys of despair wherever we go? So Junko has this amazing ability to have people follow her, even though she's a fucking psychopath. But then again, we've seen in the real world that real psychopaths could actually have people follow them. So some of the villains literally are like, yeah, that's a good idea. Like, hey, that's it's not a bad idea there, Junko. Like, yeah, why would we want to go back? We could do whatever we want. We're free. We're free to do whatever we please. And Black Cat's like, are you all nuts? Why would we go anywhere? Like, why would we just stay here and just rot and live in a society that's made of us, when we can go back? That's where all our shit is. That's where all of our, that's where, like, everything, money, gold, power, all of that is there. And the ability to crush heroes. And Junko goes, yeah, when the whole hero crushing thing, let me break this down for you. Heroes can die, and what are we going to do after that? Oh yeah, we could spend money and take power, but that's all going to be so boring after a while. Why don't we just see where it takes us, So Junko and Black Hat obviously set up the battle lines between the two, and as you can imagine, we have a Lord of the Flies situation, and it all goes to fucking hell. It straight up all goes to absolute 100% hell. So that is the thing, is that all the villains start choosing a battle line, and you either you either A, join Black Hat, or B, join Junko. And trust me, there's no in between. There is, like, if you have, like, oh, I want to sit this one out, they're like, no, you don't get to do that, because now you have to pick a side, or you're gonna fucking die. So villains all choose either Black Hat or Junko's side, but however, unbeknownst to everyone else in this situation, what is going on is that everyone there was a contingency brought to monitor the situation. Among them is Pearl, who shapeshifted into Medusa. And she hid herself pretty well, with a little help from CoverGirl from G.I. Joe, who helped do the touch-ups and make her look more like Sedusa. Now, Pearl's been hiding among them and relaying all of this to Global Justice Network and the Heroes of Earth, basically saying it's going to hell. Like, it's all going to hell, and Black Hat and Junko are lighting the match. And yeah, and when I say lighting the match, I certainly do mean lighting the fucking match. Because, yeah, they go absolutely apeshit on each other. And it's just all-out war as Black Hat is trying to frantically keep power and keep everyone from killing each other. So it devolves into like a villain civil war, but even then, it's a bunch of villains in their own little war, and furthermore, what's there to gain? And everyone's got their own, like, powers they're jockeying for. It's just a total mess. Like, it's just one big supervillain civil war until eventually Black Cat, along with some of the other big brains he has on his side, all get together and eventually do find a way for everyone to get home. Even Junko is dragged back to Earth because that's Black Cat's big victory is, oh no, Junko, you and your goons don't get to stay here. We're taking you with us because that proves I win. Like, that's Black Cat's whole thing is, like, he's just rubbing it into Junko, like, yeah, I win by letting you live and taking you back to Earth. So there you go, guys. That is pretty much my take on Salvation Run. You guys comment below what you guys think of it, like it, hate it, comment below, let me know. As always, if you haven't already, hit the link below, head on over to my Patreon. Other than that, I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.